Hi guys, yeah, this is actually my first video on the YouTube, recorded for the wider audience, I must admit, so sorry for any, let's say, yeah, my speech will not be as smooth as probably for the guys that makes it for the longer time. And also I'm not sure whether I will continue to upload the stuff in the future, but probably yes, if I will decide that I have something interesting for the wider audience, as I have it right now. So yeah, just the video is about this Radtel 470, which I purchased several weeks ago from AliExpress. I just read the quite encouraging opinions about on the web, on the AliExpress itself, about the device. Also watched some videos that basically was indicating the functionalities and the power of the device, and I decided I will give a try and make some let's say more in-depth analysis whether this is the radio that I really want to use as a, let's say, newer alternative for the old-fashioned Baofeng UV-5R. And in this video I will share my thoughts why I will not be using it as a let's say newer and more powerful alternative, but let's basically wait for the conclusion. So I said that in general the radio is described as being much more powerful, this Baofeng UV-5R. It's also not the basic 5 watts version, it's declared as a 8 watts. Actually, we will see later that it's not reaching this 8 watts, but let me start with measuring this Radtel. I guess you also might be able to find other videos on the YouTube, because I remember that I also found measuring of the power for this radio already before, but just to confirm, we can basically measure how is it indicating on my side. So we are currently on 145.235. So let's switch to the power measurement and let's try to transmit. So it's 12.1, 12.2, 12. So in general, if you look basically just purely on the power output indicator, it seems to be great, right? Because it's even more than it's declared. The declared power is 10 watts. But you know, the issue is, or it might be the issue, that the actual power must be analyzed in let's say link with the harmonics and the effectiveness of the transmission into on the let's say primary frequency. So just recently I also from AliExpress purchased Tiny SA, which is another great device. I would say quite you can buy it quite cheap. The second let's say device after Nano VNA, which is also useful when you are a ham radio amateur operator. And one of this functionality of the device is measuring the harmonics. So just a first comment. Probably you can also find some other videos on the YouTube, particularly on using Tiny SA. But just for your information, if you are just focusing on this video right now, Tiny SA has the let's say limitations of the power that you can feed in. So if it's the generally 12 watts output power, if we would directly link this 12 watts and put it through Tiny SA, probably you will burn the device. So you need to use attenuators. I'm using the two steps. First one is minus 20 dB with 25 watts, and the second one is 5 watts minus 40 dB. So we can basically plug into our antenna socket of Radtel. Alright, so I guess from the radio perspective we are ready to get on. Let's now then turn tiny SA and make sure that first of all, we need to make the mode, which is basically return to low. We are using the lower band of the frequencies, so that's correct. And we are measuring for harmonics. We need to input the fundamental, the primary signal frequency, which in our case is 145.235. So 145.235 megahertz. We can also put the negative extra gain in here of -60, which is the sum of our, let's say, attenuation. And right now we are ready to transmit and to see the result. So the first bar in the middle of the screen is basically your fundamental, your primary signal, and the second one is the first harmonics. And what we basically observe here is basically that the first harmonic marked with the number 2 is just behind the fundamental, right? So if you can take a look on the upper right corner of the screen, you will see that the difference measured is -4.9, -5 dB, which is of course unacceptable, at least from the perspective of the FCC regulations. If I remember it correctly, the FCC compliance would require at least -40 dB in here, which basically means that you have transmitting on the first harmonic. If you would basically tune the second radio to the frequency of the second harmonics, you will hear a strong signal as for the fundamental, which not only is not a good way to use the radio because you are interfering and messing up on the other frequency bands, but it's basically conclusion would be that it's no point that the radio has 12 watts of the total power once just the fraction of this power is effectively used on the fundamental, on the frequency that you are desiring to transmit on. So this would potentially mean that lower powered radio, just like this, for example, Baofeng UV-5R, which effectively will give you more power in the fundamental than this over 12 watts Radtel 470. But let's check whether this is the hypothesis is true. So we don't need to change the configuration of the tiny SA. You can see that we have also the same frequency set, 145.235, the same high power. So let's transmit. Okay, and just also on the first glance you can see that here the picture is much more looking better. So you can basically see that the second bar representing the first harmonics is significantly lower than the fundamental on the middle of the screen. And if you would read the indication of the power difference, it's basically saying -48.3 or so dB, which, if you remember, the -40 threshold from the FCC regulation, it basically confirms that this older Baofeng UV-5R is compliant at least in 2-meter band for the FCC, whereas the Radtel 470, at least the item that I was given, it's not compliant. And this is a sad conclusion of the video, of the story. I'm not sure whether this is the case of just a faulty device that I get, or all of those gets the same issue. If you have one and have the opportunity to put it in the same or similar trial, just leave me a comment. Would be beneficial for other users. But generally, even if it's just one faulty item that I get, it's not a, let's say, proper view that the quality check does not work there, and you never know whether if you purchase this once again, you will get the proper device getting as much power as possible and be FCC compliant in the fundamental on 2-meter or not. So yeah, from my perspective, this basically makes this radio not to be used. I will return it to AliExpress, and yeah, I hope they will make the lesson and in the future fix the issue. However, yeah, you will never know unless it's tested, and I basically imagine and understand that regular ham user probably does not spend much time on some more throughout testing, just use it. And it's a pity that basically it's not working as declared in this 2-meter band. I will not switch to the 70 centimeter right now because I would need to change the configuration. If you are interested, I might record the second video. But in generally, for 70 centimeter, it worked much better. Probably it was also compliant to the FCC. However, yeah, from my perspective at least, this 2-meter is even more important than 70 centimeter in the, let's say, areas and specifics of the area that I'm using. So basically, for that reason, yeah, this would mean this, let's say, functionality of this radio is just 50%. It's working on 70 centimeter in compliance to FCC, but it's not working in 2 meters. So that's the end of the story. Thanks for watching, guys.